Welcome, everybody, and thanks for joining us again for this month's CloudBytes hosted by Dean Dorton. As we do every quarter, today we're going to take a look with Dean Dorton's very own Philip Massey at all of the latest and greatest updates to Sage Intacct. If you have any questions throughout the webinar, please use the Q&A icon up at the top to ask, and I'll be monitoring those throughout the session, and I'll make sure to share them with Philip during the Q&A period at the end. If you come up with more questions, or if we don't have time to address your question today during the session, there will be contact information included at the end of the slides and also in the follow-up email that you'll get next week. That follow-up email will also include a link to today's recording, so you can rewatch that and share it with your friends. And now I will turn things over to Philip.
All right, Nikki, thank you very much. I appreciate everyone joining us today. Looks like we've got an extra good crowd, so glad to see that and hope that the content and presentation works out so that you feel like you got your time and your money's worth out of it. So pleased to have you here. So today's CloudByte, as Nikki said, is going to be on Sage Intacct 2025 Release 2. If I could take a poll question right now, and this was just impromptu, Nikki, sorry, but if I could, I'd ask how many people can believe that it's May already. Kind of a redundant question, I guess, but hard to believe it's May. Almost halfway through the year, halfway through the releases for this year. Time does definitely fly by sometimes. So anyway, enough nostalgia. Appreciate your time. Let's jump into it and let's see what we can figure out about what is in Release 2. Before we do that, though, I do want to remind everyone about the Sage Future Conference. I love that name. It is the Future Sage Conference that's happening in the future, June 3rd through the 5th, 2025. It's in Atlanta, and we hope that, genuinely hope that everyone on this call is able to attend that conference. If you're not, shame on you or your boss or supervisor or whoever said no to going. But we'd love to see you there. And we are, in fact, going bowling at this conference. But please, please don't think smelly shoes and old guys with weird shirts and, all that kind of stuff. This is a very, very fun bowling adventure. And by the way, I can say that as an old guy who wears weird shirts sometimes. But it's a very fun bowling adventure at a place called the Painted Duck that our very own Nikki Gillen found. And it looks like some very exciting stuff. Cross between a live action arcade and a bowling arena and, I don't know, maybe some wiffle ball or some other things like that as well, too, going on. So great place to hang out. And Nikki has put the registration and bowling RSVP links in the chat. So if you haven't signed up already, still time to get registered for Sage Future, and certainly still time to have what I expect to be the time of your life at the Painted Duck in Atlanta, Georgia. And feel free to Google it. They've got some really cool videos on their website about what they do. If that doesn't make you want to attend, I don't know what will, honestly. Well, the Sage content maybe, but anyway. So the R2 product spotlight agenda. So here's just kind of an overview, and this is a good slide to really look at what is in this release, who it applies to, what geographic regions it applies to, et cetera. As a long-time Intacct partner going back to 2011, I have to sometimes sit here and remember that we're talking about other countries all over the world where Intacct is now a very prevalent software solution. So some of these things apply in some regions and some of these things don't apply in some regions. So very good summarization slide here that Nikki put together for us. So let's jump into what's going on. First and foremost, if I could take a second poll, and maybe Nikki, I'll think of these things next time before we actually start the meeting. Sorry. But if I could take a second poll right now, I would say how many people have heard of Sage Copilot? And I'm looking for folks to raise their hands, and of course I'm not seeing anybody, so that's fine. Oh, hey, Courtney Smith, excellent. So some people raising hands. Thank you all. Thank you so much for humoring me with that. I appreciate it so much. Sage Copilot, not to be confused with Microsoft Copilot, but Sage Copilot is a tool that has been in the Sage Intacct application and the Sage world now for a little while, and it is continually being updated and enhanced in releases going forward. So in this, on the left-hand side of this slide, if you haven't noticed it, the help inside of Intacct now is very much conversational. So you could go into the help and you could go into it's actually called search help, and you'll see the little Sage Copilot icon out there to the left of it, and it's more conversational now. Same thing you see on a lot of websites these days, where you can actually try to have a conversation with a bot, and it'll help you find the types of information that you need. On the right-hand side is the various tools that Intacct is coming out with for closing automation. Now, there's been a theme in Intacct for many years of the closeless accounting department, right? Continuous close is something of what they called it. And in other words, with that, it's been getting ahead of the problems, getting ahead of the things that need to be adjusted, making your system work more for you, making it more efficient so that you don't spend even 2 days at the end of the month doing a close, because you've been processing that close continuously all the time. So in release 1, variance analysis came out, and that's been out there for a little bit, helping you assist you in budget and trend analysis review. This time, the close assistant is a part of this release. So it's an overview of your month-end close progress. The Subledger Reconciliation Assistant is in early adopter now. So if you want to get in on that, let us know. And then the closing workspace is something that they're going to be working on next to kind of centralize the whole thought process of that continuous close. So let's talk just a little bit about this Copilot Close Assistant. And I'll tell you guys, honestly, for some reason, my screen is a little bit grayed out. I'm not sure exactly what I did here to do this, but it's a little hard to read, so I apologize. But anyway, so the Copilot Close Assistant, it's a streamlined month-end close with proactive monitoring and real-time visibility. Exactly what it says right there. So in other words, the AI intelligence, the machine learning, the Sage Copilot inside of your Intacct instance, as of this release, has the ability to monitor the things you want it to monitor within your environment, so that you can look at the Copilot at any point and ascertain where you're off, what things need to be addressed. You can see in this screenshot here a little bit where you've got some check marks and you've got some red with exclamation points, things like that in it. So it is bringing to the top of your mind the kinds and types of things that you need to clear up in your system in order to close your month. And whether that be, hey, here's the windows you need to go to, here's the reconciliations that need to be done, or whether it's actually helping you with the variance analysis tool to say, here's where your variances are, deep dive into these, and even let's help make some adjustments to these types of things as well, right? So I think that Close Assistant is going to be a fantastic tool. It's going to be something that really does contribute to that continual close process inside of Intacct. The Subledger Reconciliation Assistant. Now, this is in early adopter. And let me back up for just a moment. So these two items, the variance analysis, and the close assistant. They have to be requested to be enabled in your environment. So if you want to turn on any of this Copilot stuff, submit a ticket to erpsupport@ddaftech.com, and we'll be more than happy to help you get these things turned on. Variance analysis and close assistant are things that you can begin to take advantage of now. And we can also work with you to get into the early adopter. Thank you, Nikki. Into the early adopter for the subledger reconciliation assistant. Now, here's another place that I would do a poll. And I think, Nikki, I just need the ability to do polls when I think about it. That's probably well, actually, that probably wouldn't be that good. Anyway, subledger reconciliation assistant. How many people would love to have some help reconciling your subledgers? That seems like probably one of those things. Thank you, Amy. That seems like one of those things that probably most folks would take you up on it, especially if I told you that this was free help built into your software, right? You don't have to hire anybody to do it. You don't have to train anybody to do it. You can tell the software to let's take a look at this. And as you see on that screen, it's detecting variances between the AP ledger and the general ledger. You can see it right there. So if you want to get in on this, and I can't imagine that there would be anybody on this call that would really not want to get in on this. But if you want to get in on it, send an email to ERP support and we'll work with you. This particular piece is early adopter. So there is a limit to the number of folks that can get in on this deal. And I just felt like I was a carny guy at a carnival there for a moment. There's a limit to the people that can get into this thing, but there is. So send us a message as quickly as you can, and we'll do our best to help you get in there if you want to take a look at this subledger reconciliation assistant. So, drum roll, please. Good news, good news. We are in early adopter for the employee expense automation mobile app. If you have employees that are submitting expenses, or if you're using another program like a Nexonia or a Concur or something like that, and I am not knocking those tools, they are great tools. But if you want to take a look at what's available inside of Intacct, powered by the same AI that powers the Copilot tool, then let us know here as well. This is an early adopter also, but it is a mobile app that runs, you can get it from Google Play or the App Store, and it connects to Intacct, and it allows for you to take pictures, and it will dynamically read the receipt and, maybe ask you some questions, maybe do some coding for you with that, but helps expedite the process of filing an expense report. And that's something else that's an early adopter. AP automation. So AP automation, this is an early adopter piece here as well, with some additional capabilities and streamlined capabilities within the purchasing transactions. So it's an AI-powered automation that creates transactions without needing a source document, offering flexibility in purchasing. So they're building this out now, continuing to build this out so that you can utilize the process in more situations, in more different scenarios. Perhaps here in some places where maybe you don't have really a receipt transaction, this can let you move forward with that type of processing and not simply be stuck. Okay. And let's see, I lost my screen there. All right. Data flow. So Sage Intacct data flow. For those of you that don't know what that is an OEM relationship with a company that I admire a lot, DataBlend, which recently was acquired by E1 Solutions, who oddly enough is another company that I admire. So unlike a lot of cases where you have one company acquired by another, and there may be some fear or trepidation there. I think this is a great blend of two organizations that are going to come out with a wonderful ecosphere for the two. And there's no change in anything as it relates to Intacct or any other applications. So the data blend tool is a methodology. It's a data transfer solution. You're moving data from one system to another. And if you do happen to have the Testatura ticketing connector within your ticketing system within your industry, you would be able to seamlessly connect that to Intacct. Okay. If you're in a healthcare organization and you need EMR Connect for your medical records, there have been some enhancements to that. I won't go into that in great detail here because I don't think we have that many people using it, or maybe even anyone. Certainly, if you are, reach out to us. We'd be more than happy to go over what's available with these dashboards and what you can get out of the tool there. So Advanced Audit Trail has now been expanded. There were some previous limitations on it with AP bill automation, the interactive customer report writer, and the IBE. But all of that has now been removed with some enhancements made to the audit trail and the nature of how it tracks transactions. So if you are interested in HIPAA compliance or just interested in the Advanced Audit Trail module, and couldn't get it in the past, that is something that we now could potentially provide to you. Sage Intacct supplies inventory. So Sage Intacct supplies inventory is sort of a subset of the actual inventory module in Intacct, and it is intended and priced to be, at that subset level. You can now, however, link supplies to POs and customize your picking tickets and so forth for those supplies orders. Kind of getting to the place where a lot of this functionality between supplies inventory and regular inventory is coming together with how both of the tools work. They'll never be exactly the same because there would really be no point in that. But they are expanding some of the functionality in the supplies inventory and giving you more capabilities for those requisitions, linking them to existing POs when they've been ordered and things like that. And then some mail merge additional capabilities to tailor those picking tickets to your specific business requirements. So just additional functionality in that supplies inventory. And again, if you didn't know about the supplies inventory, that is something we have talked about in some of these previous sessions, but probably not a whole lot. And if you've got some questions about it, how it works, what exactly it's for, like I said, it's a scaled down version of inventory, really meant to help you manage your inventory of supplies. And that could be bathroom supplies, office supplies, lots of things there, but generally not inventory that you would resell to customers. Okay. So a few more noteworthy updates and enhancements here. Sage Intacct fundraising powered by Donor Perfect. It's officially now in general availability. So if you are a nonprofit in the United States or Canada, it is in general availability, and you can add that to your subscription now with Sage Intacct. If you're a nonprofit, you've been thinking about changing systems, or maybe you've got questions about how this corresponds to or relates with an existing Donor Perfect license or anything like that, reach out to us. We'd be more than happy to help. But this is a very exciting release from Intacct to get this out into general availability at this point. We've added some capabilities to the generic connector, or I shouldn't say the generic, to the out-of-the-box standard connector between Salesforce and Intacct. And you're able now to pass payment information. So if you do receive payments in Salesforce, we are able to push that over into Intacct and create an AR payment inside of the Intacct application. Automated WIP relief, we do have that as a capability now in the system in your project costing and billing modules. So you do have to have the full project capabilities inside of Intacct. This is not for basic project tracking or even project costing modules. It does need to be the full project costing and billing, but it enables an automatic reclassification of WIP balances upon project completion, reducing any manual journal entry. So if you do have that, and let's say you're doing, say, fixed fee billing and you're tracking your WIP or anything like that, or percentage of completion, project completion billing, any of those types of things, there is now more inside the system to be able to automatically relieve the WIP so that you're not having to make some manual journal entries to get that. Timesheet allocations. This is included with the Sage Intelligent Time, and it really allows for shared employees to spread time across work areas by using allocation codes. So you can, for example, inside of the general ledger now in Intacct, create allocations that will allow you to predefine the split of transactions. You can do that same type of thing with your timesheets now and have allocations. If you have folks, for example, that work in the technical support department as well as in the admin department, or marketing as well as sales, and you want to allocate their time, you can now take advantage of these allocation codes to where you can split their time more automatically, which will then split their costs and everything that's associated with that, anything else that you have set up from a timesheets and overhead costing perspective. Sage Fixed Assets Management. This is the quote unquote the new one, right? The one that came out a couple of years ago, the rewrite of the existing Sage Intacct Fixed Assets module. So it can be a little bit confusing. I know Mitzi from our team has done some presentations in the past in regard to all the different fixed asset modules. If you want to take a look at that, that is on our website. Nikki can give you the directions to get to some of our past events so that you can take a look at some of those full comparisons. But they are continuing to expand the capabilities of the fixed assets module inside of Intacct. If you haven't been able to take advantage of it before, this might be something that opens it up for you to where you could get onto this newer module. Custom depreciation rates is probably one of the ones that sticks out to me the most, so that you're able to really tweak and tune those depreciation rates, methods, all of that as for how it is tracking. And then you can more easily handle the asset transfers and just overall asset management of where an asset is, how it is coded into the general ledger, how it's coded into the assets module, all of that, ownership, things like that. A lot more coming out with this release in regards to fixed assets and those types of situations. For those of you that have the contracts module, they have included in the latest release a very streamlined version of the contract summary tab. It makes it very easy to go in and see the different revenue information, the different billing information, project insights, purchasing, order entry, anything like that, pulls it all into one place so that as you're looking at a contract inside the system, you are then able to really see everything about the contracts, even things from projects, like I said, or purchasing or other aspects of the system. Really pulls everything together very nicely. Okay, so let's take a look at a few platform enhancements. Those are always good. So in summary, here's a couple of things. So platform scalability, there's a new import service and we'll talk a little bit more about that shortly. But great, essentially, Intacct is working their way to giving you more control over how the imports are done. Now, I happen to think the import process in Intacct is very streamlined, and it's a very nice process, especially considering some of the other solutions out there on the market. But they are continuing to try to make it better and more adaptable to client situations instead of clients having to adapt to the import process. So doing things like real-time error handling, a much more intuitive interface, those types of things I think are great. Email domain validation. So you must authenticate and validate your customer domain before May 25th to ensure secure and reliable email communications. So shoot us an email if you have any questions about this one, and we'll talk a little bit about that again here in just a moment, but giving you some flexibility there. Enhanced list. They continue to work on those enhanced lists. If you haven't switched over your view inside of Intacct, give it a shot. Switch over to those views on those enhanced lists. I think you'll like them tremendously. And the event queue trigger. This is an early adopter. So for all techies out there, and not Trekkies, but techies, for all techies out there, this will be a really nice feature inside of Intacct that can help drive data, triggers inside, outside the application, and just movement of data by using, webhooks and things like that within the system. So again, something for those techies. Now, on the new import service, here's just a little bit of information about it and kind of a screenshot here. But again, we are making it more intuitive. Again, I like what's there. Always have thought that it was very nice. Intacct includes these capabilities. A lot of systems don't include native import capabilities. And yes, you had to use a template. You had to get the data in their format. And sometimes running it through could be a little bit pulling your hair out. That didn't happen to me, of course, but it already happened to me. But the ability now to tailor the import to your needs, as opposed to really having to tailor your import to the way Intacct wanted it to happen. That's something that's basically the biggest capability of all of this. So again, they're trying to design an import process that gives you the flexibility to tell the import process what your file looks like, and it's giving it more real-time error handling, and it's just making it something that is even more intuitive for an end user to be able to manage those imports themselves. So a lot of great improvements there. If you're going to use your own custom domain inside of Intacct, we do ask, as I said before, that you do go ahead and authenticate that custom domain. I believe it was May 25th, which is 11 days away. Essentially here, if you have any questions about this, shoot an email to the ERP support. We'd be more than happy to answer any of those questions for you. But this is essentially getting your domain into the Intacct system, so to help ensure that your emails that go out are better received. Helps improve email deliverability, reduces the chance your messages are going to be marked as spam or not, reach your recipients or anything like that. It is something, though, that does need to be done. So if you have any questions about it, please do reach out to us. Enhanced lists. Again, this is something that I think is really cool. And if you have not turned it on, you should experiment at least with turning it on. And you can see a little bit of a screenshot here of the, whoops, went too fast. Clicked when I shouldn't have. You can see a little bit of a screenshot here in the upper right where it says the words turn on enhanced list. That's actually going to be linked. So in your environment, you will see turn on enhanced lists, and you'll be able to enable it in your environment. And you can go back. If you look at it, and it just frightens you and all that sort of stuff. You can go back, but it is a nice interface to be able to work with. You have a lot more filtering capabilities. If nothing else, it eliminates the whole, if I click on the name, it takes me to the aging report type of thing that I've ashamedly done for 14 years now. But it also gives you a lot more filtering capabilities. It's better navigation. It's got the ability to do split screen type of things for you, so that you're just more efficient moving through the system. Plus, you then have the ability to do some things by, selecting a series of records or all records or anything like that. So something to try out if you haven't already within the system. The event queue trigger, this again is an early adopter, and this is something for those tech folks. Ian D'Amelio, one of my all-time favorite team members, it's been with me for a very long time, could probably tell you all about this, and give you lots and tons of information about it. But it does help you move data into and out of the Intacct solution. So this is a kind of an exciting thing here. Makes it more reliable to especially grab data and use triggers to get information out of Intacct. If you are in the UK, and I don't know that we have anybody on this call in the UK, but I don't know that we don't. So we're going to talk about this for just a second. Easily record customer refunds in the UK. This gives you an ability to process those customer refunds inside of the Intacct system. So instead of manually tracking refunds through credit cards or bank transactions, you can record them directly in AR. It's now available for early adopters in the UK. Supports refunds for adjustments, advances, overpayments, and negative invoices. It's got multi-currency report, and your refund data is now available in reporting and platform applications. So if you have any questions about this, let us know. Be more than happy to talk with you on it. And part of the whole AI and the whole Copilot and all those sort of things, Intacct is now in some of their reporting giving you guidance on building reports in English, right? And giving you guidance to create more streamlined reports, giving you guidance to create things that are more transparent to your stakeholders, and maybe even explore some alternative ways to deliver and generate financial insight for key stakeholders. And this is built into the Financial Report Writer application. It is a guidance tool. It's not really officially part of Copilot, but it is that same type of thing. We are working to make it so that you are more efficient in the software. And then the affiliate entity dimension. So this is new for inter-entity tracking and to help automate eliminations with the consolidations module. The new affiliate entity dimension, it's a standard dimension for consolidation customers. Basically, it helps to track where the transactions came from in a intercompany transaction. So it's an automatic tag. It's applied seamlessly by the Sage Intacct solution, but it is another step in helping companies who do need to do these consolidations and further automate this consolidation process to make it so that it is almost painless in here. So it's another dimension that's added into the system. If you have domestic consolidations, global consolidations, or advanced ownership consolidation subscriptions, you get this dimension. If you don't have it, you don't get it. If you have those modules, which we'd be more than happy to talk to you about those modules if this seems like a thing that would be good for you. But it's an automatic categorization and tagging of transactions to make sure that the consolidations module can track both sides of an intercompany entry and make sure that the consolidations go quicker. Okay. So at this point, those are all the slides that I have. I do want to show you a couple things inside of the Intacct application, but before we get there, I thought I would check and see if we do have any questions.
We do, in fact, have a few questions. So first off, is the expense automation only for reimbursement, or does it work for credit card expenses too?
Lisa, I am 99% sure that it's for, I was going to say that it's for reimbursement only. I don't know at this point. Let's take that, Nikki, as something that we'll get back to him on. That's a good question, Lisa. Thank you.
All righty. And then for AP automation, have there been any updates to automate the vendor onboarding process, like W-9 payment instructions, et cetera?
I have not seen that as part of any of the documentation. There is the vendor approval process inside of Intacct, but I haven't seen any functionality added to that, either in there or in AP automation. But we will double check on that and make sure that we follow up with a definite answer. But I haven't seen it.
And finally, I think it was back around slide 22 or 23, you mentioned updating the view. Were you referring to the enhanced lists with that?
23 would have been the enhanced lists, yes. And I can actually show that as I jump into the software. And if that's not the place where that came up, pop the question in again with maybe a little more detail, and I'll be happy to answer it.
Excellent. That's all that's in the inbox right now. But if you have any more questions, you still got time to get them in.
Okay. And while you're contemplating questions and the types of things that you can ask, I'm going to stop the slideshow and I am going to share my screen. All right. And share screen. Okay. All right. So, Nikki, can you or somebody give me a thumbs up if you can see my screen? Perfect. Okay. All right. So, I am in Intacct, of course. You guys should recognize at least that part of it by now, right? So let's hit the first things first. So let's go to accounts receivable. Let's go to customers, and same old view, right? This is the same old view that we've had for very similar to the view now that we've had for a good number of years. And then right here is turn on enhanced list. And that is a link. It looks like words, but it is a link. If I click it, my screen changes. And that is an individual choice by area. I will also show you that right here, turn off enhanced list and send us feedback. Send us feedback, right? Oh, guys, this is really great, except for it would be nice if so-and-so, right? Those types of things. Or quite simply, hey, this is fantastic, love it. But when I turn on the enhanced lists, you can see now I've still got this information here. I've still got my searches. I do have filtering choices, these little funnels here that will open up more conditions in here, and they're on a column by column basis. I do have some configurations here for sorting. Now I can come in here just like I could before, and I can type PA and I can do the search and it will show me all the Pennsylvania stuff. I can come in here and I can click on the word state and that'll do the sorting. But I also do have some additional choices here in other areas, right? And of course, I can clear this out if I need to here, or if I go back up and revert changes and take it back to the normal list. I still have my different views, so I haven't lost anything as far as being able to create custom views. I can still do all of that and change the information that I see and all those things. But one of the things I alluded to earlier that I like the most is just for a guy that's been on the software for a very long time, there's really no excuse for the fact that I continue sometimes to click in the other view on the name, and it takes me into their AR aging report. I do that. It's just my habitual mistake that I make, but it is something where that is eliminated now by taking you into the actual customer when you do that. So I can also potentially do multiple things here. Not a whole lot in some areas, and don't worry, you can't select them all and delete them all if they have transactions with them and stuff like that. So there are safeguards in place for that type of thing, just like there always have been. But they are working on being able to do some more things in mass up here as well. Okay. So, and then if I wanted to turn it back off because I just want to go back to my old look, I turn it back off and I go back to my old look. And that is in place in many areas in Intacct. Here's the vendor list. I can turn on the enhanced list in vendors, get the same type of functionality here as well. All right. And I'm going to leave that one that way. So that's the enhanced list that we talked about. I hope that answers the question from earlier, but it's just these words up here at the top. Couple things to show you in this instance. So I did yesterday, and Intacct tells you to give them about 3 days to do this kind of thing, but I did put a little extra sugar on top of the request, and so they were able to get it turned on for me. But you can see here, I've got Sage Copilot up at the top. And if I click on it, that brings up Copilot. Now, I haven't had the opportunity yet to really build out the insights inside of here, but this is where you would see the variance analysis. This is where you would see the close assistant and those types of things coming into this area. This is also where you could have your chat about, let me think about that. So the close assistant, you could ask questions about the close. You could ask questions about the variance. Similar to how if you have Microsoft Copilot in Excel, you can ask questions about your data. That's what we're beginning to work towards inside of Intacct. So not only is this an informative environment, but it's also built to be a chat environment as well. The other thing to show you, if you haven't seen it yet, is all of you should have under help and support and the search help, that little Copilot icon there. And if I click on it, it takes me into a new version of the search help. And this is something that has been there for a little bit, so it's not brand new as of this version. But you can literally, what I think is cool is I can literally come in here and say, how do I use Sage Copilot variance analysis? And I'm asking questions. And you guys know, ChatGPT, Claude, Gemini, whatever your choice is that's out there for an AI tool, if you've been using them, one of the things that is great about them is that you can just ask them questions. You don't have to know the special language or the codes to use or anything like that. Sometimes with Google searches or Bing or something else, you got to hit that just right to get the information to come out of it. What's great about this is you're really in conversational mode with the search help now. And so I think it's really cool that I can ask Sage Copilot help how to use Sage Copilot variance analysis. and it comes up and tells me how to use it. And if I need help setting it up, hey, let's click right here, and we're going to pop open the section of the help. And it says, okay, if you want to use this, before you can set it up, you need these items. Before you can, or when you then set it up, here's where you go. Subscribe to it. And that essentially would be, at least a portion of that would be letting us know, because there are parts of this now that still need to be enabled. So if you do want to turn this on, yes, this is correct. But also you will need to send an email to ERP support, and we'll help you with that. And I would think generally probably a no charge type thing, but because it should be a fairly simple task to get it enabled in your environment. And then here's how to configure it. So budgets, setup, configuration, select Copilot, use the budget drop downs, etc. Budget insights, account group section, analyze by section, etc. So this is actually walking you through the process, just like the normal Sage help, but I got to it through here by really asking a plain English question. Same type of thing. How can I upload PDF copies of AP bills using AP automation? It's going to think about that question for a bit, and it's going to come back and give me some answers. And you don't have to be fully conversational with it, right? You can shorten that down a little bit. But this walks you through that process of uploading AP. And then what I think is nice is that it explains it here, but also gives you an ability down at the bottom to click on various different parts that, again, take you into the Intacct help tools in order to be able to pull that information. Okay. So for example, in this environment, I made the request of Sage. They enabled it for me. And then I went into admin and subscriptions, and I went into configure. And anytime you go into subscriptions, I need to preface this and say it, anytime you go in there and you turn something on, you could get charged for it. So if you have a question, please let us know, reach out to us before you do that, not after, because it's a lot easier to explain it before than to, this is not something where it's better to ask for forgiveness afterwards, to be honest. Now, enabling the Sage Copilot, there is no charge for it, but just in general, being in that window, there you might be doing something that gives you, gets you an invoice. But this is the same place where you turn on the outlier detection, if you've ever looked at that before. And if you have not, shame on you for not looking at that before. That's a precursor to the Sage Copilot and a very nice tool. But I enable it here. And then I make sure that I have permissions. So I would go into the roles, and I would take a look at the subscriptions here, and I would go into the general ledger. And you're going to see a separate section called Copilot and variance analysis, whether I can run it, and close assistant, which I only requested the variance analysis of Sage. I would have to go back and request this as well to be able to be enabled, but could turn that on as well. And then once you have permission set, you would go for the variance analysis to budgets, configuration, and Copilot variance analysis. This screen allows you to stipulate what you want to be included in the Copilot variance analysis, what account groups are included, whether you're going to also analyze by location or entity, what books are included, and what budget is included. So all of that configuration stuff. And then notifications. So it can appear in your Copilot panel, which would be this guy right here, or this gal right here. And then also, do you want to send something out via email? If you enable location or entity, that enables location and entity managers to also be notified. And then are they notified daily, weekly, or just at the end of the month? So lots of choices in here for how you configure this. But again, it's one of those things that at a minimum, you're going to be able to dive into here and you're going to be able to see information about variances. So rather than having to look at a dashboard and go find the information that you're looking for, which has always been a good thing inside of Intacct, at least you've got the dashboards and the ability to find it readily. It's all going to be laid out in black and white inside Sage Copilot. So something I would really encourage you guys to take advantage of and gals to take advantage of is this Sage Copilot stuff that's coming out. I know sometimes the AI can be a little bit off-putting, but I think in this case, it's definitely something that can help streamline and help get us close to that continual close that Sage has always been looking for. Okay. All right, Nikki, I think I see a couple more questions.
Yes, you do, in fact, see some more questions. First is a two-parter. Is there an extra charge for using the employee expense automation? And can employees fill out an expense report through Sage Intacct?
So, extra charge, they would at least need an employee user license for it. And with that being an early adopter, we don't really know yet if there's going to be an extra charge for like the module or the rights to use the module or anything like that. So I can't really answer that question until it hits general availability. But I know they would need at least an employee user license to use it. So there would be some charge there if they don't already have one. More details will come out when it hits general availability on that, which I would expect to be either the next release or the one after, sometime this year. I don't think there's an extra charge if you want to get into the early adopter, but if that is something that interests you, send us that email and we will find the details for you. But generally with early adopters, there's not a fee during that early adopter phase, at least.
Great. And then we also have process transactions. Are there any updates on that? Currently, if you want to match an invoice to more than one PO, this is the only option.
And/or description. Cheyenne, you have surpassed the limits of my knowledge at this point on that particular item, which is a fancy way of saying I don't know how to answer your question, but we will get an answer. I don't see any updates in this release in regards to that specifically, but we will find out for you and get back to you. Great question. Great question. All right. So we've got a few. Oops. Like another one maybe just came in. Oh, you're welcome. So we will get these. We've got a few questions to get answered. We'll definitely get that together and get it back to you. Nikki will circulate those answers once we grab them. We'll probably need to, in all honesty, grab a couple team members and get some answers for you to make sure that we get these things stated correctly. But we'll do that and get the recording over to you. Thank you all for coming today and look forward to the next one. And if you're not registered for Sage Future, it's not too late. It'll be a great conference. It's in Atlanta. So for most of us, it's pretty geographically close to where we are. So please, if you get that chance, please attend. Thank you.
Thank you all. Have a great afternoon.